Today's video is brought to you by the Ridge Wallet. It's light, sleek, and industrial, and it doesn't fold or awkwardly bulge in your pocket, ladies and gentlemen. And it seriously has changed my pocket game. You know, most people are still using these old wallets designed in the 90s, but you know what? Carrying around old receipts, gift cards, and hotel keys? It's not for me. It's unorganized. See, ever since I used the Ridge Wallet, I've been storing all my cards in here. 12 cards to be exact. I think it's around 12, as much as the Ridge can fit. Now, there's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. And normally I'd show you my old wallet, but we've been sponsored for a while, and I've really been using this one for pretty much eternity at this point. And they've got 30,000 5-star reviews, so I'm not the only one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the quality of this, they're actually so confident. They're giving you a lifetime warranty. You could buy one wallet and carry it with you to the grave. Now, they're actually so confident they give you a 45-day return period with this wallet, so you can, test drive it out if you feel like it. So yeah, get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/SOG. Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and boy oh boy, VPNs! You might have gotten a bunch of sponsors about VPNs from any YouTuber that you watch, considering they're some of the easiest sponsors to pick up. Now with me, VPNs come with some sort of a history. They were some of my first sponsors, and one VPN in particular actually burned their trust bridge with me. Since then, VPNs I'm pretty reprehensive in ever coming across. When anybody asks me, Muda, what VPN should I get? Honestly, the answer is a billion factors, okay? You have to check where a VPN is hosted. You have to check if a VPN can be, their logs can be extradited from one government to another. You have to check if a VPN is handling their data right, whether they're storing your files, your VPN activity on a hard drive, cache, or RAM. It's a billion things you have to go through, which is why I wanted to make an interesting video where we all made our own virtual private networks through the power of the cloud. Now, for those of you who are wondering, there's a billion products out there from Amazon, from Microsoft, from Google, from whatever service out there that allows you to host basically virtual machines, provision computers, all in the cloud. And it's getting relatively inexpensive. Today's video is all brought from a free trial that I put my money down into from Google, who gave me $300 in free credits to spend on Google Cloud. I think they're like the cloud crack den dealer. They want me to really get hooked onto it, and maybe I might keep my subscription. Who knows? Now, to build a VPN, we're going to be using a set of scripts from the good old Algo server group, Algo server people over at GitHub. Now, this isn't necessarily the only way to really tackle this behemoth. One really needs a VPN solution on a Linux system. You could actually do this with a server in your house or somewhere in the world. The reason I'm doing it with the cloud is that this is probably how most people may tackle this. It's just to allow me to connect to another part of the world and actually have a VPN somewhere other than my own house. So now that we know this, let's get down with part one. Okay, so part one of this entire affair is to pick your poison. Who are you going to set up a virtual server with? Who are you going to go with? Now, I, for this video, went with Google, okay, like I mentioned earlier. But I'm not going to pitch Google as the only sole grace over here. You can go with Amazon's EC2, you can go with Microsoft Azure, whatever you're comfortable with. This, for me, I'm just going with Google. So I had to give them my name, give them my number, attach a credit card. Long story short, I got into the Google Cloud. This is cloud.google.com. Accelerate your transformation with Google Cloud. Let's go to the console and get this thing started, shall we? So when you're in the console over here, you can see that they've got a bunch of different deals right over here, okay? What we need to look for, ladies and gentlemen, is the good old, what is this? My first project? Don't give me notifications, baby. What we need to actually look for is the ability to create a cloud shell, okay? So we need to get a VM all set up. We need to get into a cloud shell when we're at this menu. Typically, right next to your name, you're going to find Activate Cloud Shell, okay? Right around here. So click on Activate Cloud Shell, and you're going to be sent to a beautiful Cloud Shell terminal, all right? Not Terminator. So first things first, let's open that in a new window so, we can actually have a full screen attached to it. And of course, you can see I've got a whole cloud. Now, what Google has done is it's given me my own virtual machine in our container to basically operate this entire deal with. So if you do uname-a, you can see that we're at a Linux system right over here. Now, if you also do neofetch, you have to install this, by the way, you can see that Google has given us a Debian Linux system. Google Compute Engine, Intel Xeon, with 16 gigs of memory. Hell, H-top that baby up, and you can find out, damn, I'm sitting at 15 Gs. So long story short, I've been given a terminal. Now, according to this entire GitHub that we have to deal with, you can see that there's a lot to worry around with, but they actually give you pretty good instructions. Now, to understand, this VPN that we're building isn't going to protect us from the NSA. It's not going to protect us from, censorship or anything. Because we're building this in a cloud server that operates in America, if the NSA wanted to subpoena your information, they probably could, okay? So this isn't designed to give you full anonymity. This is more of a cool experiment, okay? So number one step is to actually get a copy of Algo, okay? So after you've set up your cloud hosting provider, you can go and get yourself a copy of the Algo system. Now to do this, you have to do git clone, all right, which is clone their GitHub repository. And we're just gonna enter this all real quick, HTTPS, all right, github.com. I know I can just copy it, but sometimes you just want to type out commands, because why not, right? Just for the sake of it. Now, it'll basically create an entire directory. So if you type ls, you can see that we have Algo and the README Cloud Shell. You can actually make new directories from here by typing in mkdir. All right, you can type in butt plug, okay? I know that's a real common one, but if you do it, now we've got Algo, we've got an empty butt plug directory, and we have the README. Just like you can do rmdir and type in butt plug, okay? And get rid of butt plug right there. So it's basically just bottom Linux commands if you want to get down to it. So let's do cd Algo to get into Algo, and as you can see, bam, we have all this stuff that we're dealing with. So now the next thing is to install dependencies. Assuming if you did this on a home server, you would need to actually have Python 3.6 or later. Now, the GitHub actually has a good distinction. If you're running macOS, you run this command. If you're running Linux, Ubuntu, you run this command. If you're running Fedora, you run this command. If you run Red Hat or CentOS, which is more for like, the enthusiast side, you run these commands. That's what you're doing. If you have Windows, you're going to be using something called Windows Subsystem for Linux. Basically, Windows, Microsoft Now, allows you to run Linux within Windows. Actually, Windows Now comes bundled with Linux from what I understand. But you're going to have to go to the Microsoft Store and download Ubuntu from there, okay? That's pretty much the best way to do it, okay? That's how Microsoft starts it up. This is specifically if you want to do these steps within Windows. So now that you know how to do it, you know how to do it. But since we're in Cloud Shell, we already have Python available. We don't have to do this step. Now, number one is to download Algo's remaining dependencies, okay? So we need to run these from the Algo directory each time you download a new copy of Algo, okay? So you type in py, and interesting, if you're doing anything Linux, you can always hit tab, and it'll tell you what you can put in. But anyways, we're going to do Python 3. All right, we're going to do -m virtual virtual environment, Python, all right? And again, be very careful with what you're typing. This is a command shell, so if you make one little oopsie daisy on here, all right, it's going to tell you that command is not available, all right? And then you're going to be scratching your head wondering what happened. You probably missed some bracket or a dash somewhere, and that's what's going to kill you. So block that off, do env. All right, and then and all right, you're gonna basically keep on going with this behemoth, right? And you're gonna do source install our requirements.txt. So all that written out, make sure it's exactly as it's written out over here before you hit enter. Otherwise, if something goes wrong, you're gonna wanna hate yourself. So let it run and wait a little bit, okay? It's gonna take a little bit of time. Yeah, baby, you download building wheel for Ansible, set up Python. Every time like some noob like watches this, they're like, are you hacking the government? Nah, we're just running some scripts. You wish it was that badass, right? So now that it's all done, you've seen that you've successfully installed everything. You've got everything sort of handled over here. Now it's time to do some configuration options, okay? So if we do ls, you can see that there is a config file available right over, I think it's right here, config.cfg. So we're going to need to actually modify and configure this, and the way that we're going to do it is we're going to need to have a text editor available. Now I know some people like using Nano or Vim or whatever. It's really up to however you want to tackle it. I'm going to use Nano just because it's the easiest thing for new people to come in and sort of fuddle around with. So we're going to do nano config.cfg, okay? So now that we're in over here, we're going to make sure that we don't need super user permissions. We do not, otherwise it would tell you. And over here, you can modify this configuration file to your heart's extent, and you're going to want to. So over here, we're going to create a new user, and we're going to call it Muda, okay? So we're going to create the user group Muda right over here as a user, as far as I know in this situation. Typically, you can add whatever you want, but you're going to want to do Muda. Now, from what I understand over here too, also really important, First off, take a photo of this entire thing before you actually deploy this, just so that, you know, if you need to have it just for any further, you know, sort of recollection, you know it. Now, everything over here, you need to check carefully if you want to change it around for later, because once you deploy the server, you can't really change anything over here. They literally tell you, review the operations before you run Algo. These are very difficult and impossible to change after the server is deployed. So again, it's all up to you. So again, I'm going to change the SSH server over here, just so that you know, I can connect to it and nobody else can. Nobody knows about it. Just those basic things. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to change as what I need to do, and then we'll get to the next part. It's time for you to actually deploy it. So in order to deploy it, it's actually really simple. You do ./algo, hit enter, and bam, it's going to handle everything right over here. So first thing here, it's going to ask you, what provider are you using? So again, since we're on Google, okay, we're going to give it number 5, Google Compute Engine. Again, if you were running it on your own server, for instance, right, you know, you would pick a different option. Or let's say you bought Amazon or Microsoft Azure, you would pick Microsoft Azure. So this is again for Google Compute. So we're going to hit 5 and hit enter. Name the VPN server. We're going to call it Muda VPN. All right. Cellular on-demand prompt. Do you want iOS, macOS clients to enable connect on demand when connected to cellular networks? No. All right, we're going to hit no on that. Wi-Fi on demand, I'm going to hit, you know, no. Again, a lot of these options are defaulted. So as you can see, the capital N, so you don't really have to worry too much about it. So this is retain the PKI prompt, which means that if you want to add users in the future, you can, but we're not going to do that. I know I'm the only one connecting, so we're not going to bother with it. Do you want to enable DNS ad blocking? I'm going to hit no. Do you want each user to have their own account for SSH tunneling? No. All right, just go with what the defaults are. All right, simple as that. And again, wait for all of this to be done. Enter the local path to your credentials JSON file. Okay. All right, so this is a bit of a doozy. When you get up to this point where it asks you want to get your credentials JSON file, you're going to actually have to give it the JSON file just to allow it to basically deploy within this Google Cloud at this point. Now, they give you a link that takes you to this page, okay? Now, you want to follow all the instructions on this page, but to save you some time and, you know, patience over here, I'm going to show you what was basically updated. And I remember this project is like from years ago, okay? Now, it's gotten some updates, but there are some genuine souls out here who have updated this guide a little bit. So this individual actually came out in 2020 and told you to follow this guide right over here. So there are some issues. Again, this is old. So basically, you can go to this link and it'll take you to this page. You click on this create service account and you should hopefully get into the Google Cloud Platform page. Now, if we go to my actual cloud that I'm working with, you can see that first off, you have to make a project. Okay, so I made a project. You go into it. You basically go through service account details. So you make something like, let's say, Joey or something, right? That's your name. You give it like VPN. You create that. All right, so as you create it, you can add the role basic and owner. And as you go continue, all right, you can basically create it. Well, this is optional. So hit done at this point and you'll create all these tokens. Now, typically the best way to do it is to take the first developer G-Service account right here. This is the Compute Engine default account. You can actually click on this. You can go to keys, all right, and as you can see, it has keys that are active, all right. You can add the key from here, and then you want to take that key and you would download it as a JSON, all right. Not P12, it's going to give you two options. Do it as JSON, and that's it. Then you want to go all the way back to the Cloud Shell. You want to click this more button. You want to upload the file, upload that JSON, all right, and it's going to upload to your home directory. So it's going to be like /home/ whatever your username is and / whatever the name of this file is. You're going to copy that directory. So like, let's imagine that you were, let's say this is what you have to copy, right? So you would typically have to copy a line like this, home, whatever, say your username is, right? And then the name of the file, the name of the JSON you just uploaded, okay? So this is typically what you want to enter into this case, okay? So that's pretty much what we're going with. Once you have entered this path into this section right here, you can hit enter and it'll take you to the next several stages. Now over here, you want to pick where your desired region is. So for the sake of it, I'm going to go with US West 3, okay? Let's go onto the West Coast, buckos. Let's enter 24. So then it's going to go through a bunch of other, checks and balances over here, and you're going to wait, and hopefully we should be done with the deployment. Okay, so after one internet crash later and a power outage issue around my house, this is finally completed. God, I love cloud computing. All these containers operate somewhere in California, and I don't have to worry about anything. So ladies and gentlemen, Algo server is running. Getting config files and certificates are in the config directory, pretty important. Go to hoor.net after connecting to ensure that all traffic passes through your VPN. DNS resolver, and then they're going to give you your SSH passwords for users is blah, blah, blah. And the shell access, it'll tell you how to do it. Make sure this you don't share to anybody, okay? This is going to be blurred for you, okay? Unless I'm an idiot, which I probably am. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just very quickly take a photo of this right now, just so I can have it in my records. Anyways, let's actually download the config directories, all these files, because we're going to need them for later. So first thing you want to do is you want to go download from this directory your home, your username, Algo, configs, and then it's going to have an IP address for your VPN. I know my IP address, so it's going to be right here. You're going to go to Wireguard, and you're going to download whatever. So it could be desktop conf, it could be phone conf. If you didn't add any users, I think you can just download desktop configuration. But I added my name, so I'm going to download muda.configuration. So download that using Cloud Shell, download your name once you've calculated and went into that directory. So as you download this and save it right here, okay, you should have your configuration file. Now this is going to have configuration files dedicated to your VPN. So again, you really don't want to share any of it because it has your private keys and whatnot. So that said, let's get this up and running. So I have a good old-fashioned VM from the time where we actually ran some Discord malware. You can see our old friend Sonic Hedgehog and cute Chocobo. But this isn't about some Discord nonsense. Let's start up a web browser and download Wireguard, okay? So that's going to be what you're using, assuming you're on Windows 10. So let's get Wireguard real quick, download this, and get things started. So we're going to download the Windows installer, but as you can see, it exists for pretty much everything. Again, we're going to get the Windows installer, hit yes, just run through the installation. So give it 1 second and we'll be back to it. So from what I understand, we're going to import tunnels from a file. We're going to go to desktop and we're going to add Muda configuration. So again, it has everything over here. Everything seems to be fine. I'm going to censor things like the public keys and everything right here. We're going to hit activate. So again, it's going to activate the system and bam, the Muda tunnel has been activated. So Windows says everything is good and gravy. Now, according to Algo, all right, now accordingly, if this VM works, let's see if I'm connecting through the West Coast of the United States real quick. So they asked me to go to hoor.net, okay, just to see if this VPN was working that we just made. And bam, it does work. I am connected through Google Cloud. Bam, it works, ladies and gentlemen. Now, to understand, let's get a rough idea of what's happening on the Google side. Now that our VPN is ready and accessible, we can see that at this point, all right, my system here says that I'm connected through Google Cloud Platform. This is the Muda VPN, okay, let's hit go. And let's see the speed right now. I'm connected through Salt Lake City, Utah. I guess that's as west as we're going, right? All right, so I got a ping of 95 milliseconds, and I'm downloading at around 150, 70. All right, it's not a bad VPN at all right now. This is kind of pretty awesome. Now, I'm pretty sure, all right, ladies and gentlemen, if you wanted to browse Netflix in America, you could probably get away with it. In fact, I'm going to try it right now just to see if I can watch American Netflix through my own VPN. Oh my God, it actually does work. You can watch, you can play on these videos and it works. You can watch Netflix. My God, it works. That's amazing. Now, I also think that Amazon may work too, even though they're very stringent on this nonsense. So to understand what's going on, okay, why this is cool is that usually a lot of VPN services will advertise that, oh, if you use our VPN, you can watch Netflix anywhere, and Netflix won't figure it out. Well, the problem is the more expensive and fancy those services become, the more well-known it is, and the more their VPN, the more their ISPs that they push through are typically tagged by Netflix and Amazon. So over time, it kind of becomes a, contest, a tug of war of which VPN service do I get so I can watch Netflix over and over again. Because Google Cloud isn't necessarily used as a VPN, and I'm also sure that Netflix isn't going to outright block Google Cloud, one of the biggest cloud, one of the biggest cloud services out there, period. you can actually create your own VPN and watch Netflix as if you were in America. Now, of course, there are plenty of other options, I believe, like Asia or whatnot too. So you can basically provision a VPN, from what I understand, in multiple parts of the world, and you would tunnel your traffic through that region of the world. Again, this probably breaks a bunch of TOSs, so I would never actually endorse this activity. And, you know, use Netflix in the place where your licenses are truly attributed to you, I guess. But that's pretty much what I can put out there, ladies and gentlemen. Can't endorse this, but this is something cool that's out there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you look over here, my actual usage is increasing. So the more I watch, the more you can see that incoming and outgoing is massive. So I'm using megabytes at times, all right, watching videos. You can see that the CPU spikes up to nearly 50%, all right? So there's definitely some stuff going on in this container. So let's sort of cut this off where it needs to be, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've done enough for now. Now, to understand what we've done, we've built our own VPN through Google's cloud platform. Didn't have to be through Google. You could have done Microsoft or anything. Now, I just want to reiterate, this is not inherently going to keep your data safe and secure. While this is your own VPN, you can rest assured that whatever you're tunneling through is entirely your own, okay? This is something you control entirely. But for people who are wondering, oh, can I do something and can the government get access to it? Yeah, the actual reality is, because this is a Google-owned platform and my data is going through Salt Lake City, I am subject to Five Eyes Alliance agreements, okay? Basically, the United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, a lot of countries share their data going around. And if you're worried if the government's watching you, they'll absolutely be able to subpoena this information, okay? They'll be able to know that I watched some Netflix and played some video games, okay? That is what it is. So if you're worried that that's how it's going to happen, this isn't the answer. But I can assure you that if you're going through this method, this is a VPN that you control yourself, okay? This is something of your own accord. What we basically did was utilize a container somewhere off on Google servers to channel our data through. Now, the reality of it is, pricing-wise, it's going to be something that I'm going to monitor for the next week or two while utilizing this, and I'm going to sort of see how much this costs. Now, reminder, I am working off of free trial credit, around $300 worth of it, so just imagining, okay, once this free trial money runs out, this is probably going to be one of the most expensive VPNs that is out there, okay? So again, the practicality is all really up into the air. I'll have to see how this bills me day by day if I use it to watch movies, music, television, and play games over. I'm going to wager that's a lot, because those are incredibly network-heavy activities. So this is more of a project for those people who want to just build their own VPN. And hey, if you're willing to pay a few extra bucks for your VPN a month, given the fact that it's your own blood, sweat, and tears, then go for it. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm kind of sick and tired with a lot of these VPN services that I have to sort of pick and choose between who's going to have my data secured the best, who's going to be able to, you know, allow me to access all the services I want to, regardless of geographical location. This is sort of the answer right here. Now, you can very much create multiple VPNs under your Google Cloud platform, you know, sort of user ID over here. So you can have a VPN set in America, you can set one in Asia, you can set one around. Wherever, you know, you can sort of provision one, you might be able to get away. But in reality, it is what it is. This is but one of the many ways for a lot of home users to create functional, you know, VPNs for themselves around the world. And another thing is, if you want to set it so that anywhere you go in the world, you can turn your home computer into a VPN, Algo can in fact function just like that for your home server as well too. So yeah, we just made our own VPN, played some games, watched some Netflix. Ladies and gentlemen, it is what it is. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.